The Formula One world thought it had seen the last of Daniel Ricciardo when the Australian walked away in 2024, his career ending in the shadows after being ruthlessly dropped by Red Bull's junior team. For a year, Ricardo stayed silent, away from the circus, while fans debated whether he'd ever return to the sport that once made him a global star. 8 wins, countless podiums, and a personality that lit up the paddock. Ricardo's legacy was secure, but unfinished. Now, everything has changed. Red Bull's new boss, Laurent Mekies, has hinted that Ricardo's fresh role as Ford's global racing ambassador could open the door for a sensational comeback. One that ties his name not only to Red Bull, but to the very future of F1's engine wars. And if this turns out to be true, the Honey Badger's next chapter could be far more influential than any of his race victories. Before we dive into this fascinating story, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this channel is where you'll hear the biggest shifts, the inside analysis, and the hidden truths behind Formula One's most dramatic stories. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Laurent Mekies' comment may have sounded casual, even emotional, calling Ricardo's new connection with Ford a family feeling. But in F1, nothing is ever said without a purpose. When the head of Red Bull Racing suggests that Daniel Ricciardo could return to the paddock in 2026, fans and insiders alike immediately ask, what role could he possibly play? To understand the weight of this hint, we need to look at the bigger picture. Red Bull is entering a new era. For the first time in its history, the team will not be relying on an external manufacturer for engines. Instead, Red Bull Powertrains will debut its own in-house power unit in 2026, created in partnership with Ford. This is uncharted territory. The stakes are enormous. If Red Bull fails, it risks losing the dominant edge it has built since 2021. If it succeeds, it could cement itself as the most powerful independent team in the modern history of Formula One. Now, enter Ricardo. On paper, he's retired, but his new role as Ford's global racing ambassador changes everything. It's not just a PR stunt. This is about strategy. Ford needs visibility, trust, and authenticity as it re-enters F1. Ricardo provides all three. He's one of the most marketable drivers of the past decade, adored by fans, sponsors, and the media. Even after a rocky end to his career, his reputation remains intact. He's remembered not for failure, but for his unforgettable overtakes, his infectious smile, and the raw charisma that few drivers can replicate. And here's where Mekies' words matter. He called Ricardo's Ford connection one of the many examples of how Red Bull and Ford are linked. That's not random, it's a signal. Red Bull isn't just building engines with Ford, they're building a story. A partnership that fans can buy into, a cultural bridge between the rebellious spirit of Red Bull and the legacy of Ford. And Ricardo could be the perfect character to carry that story. Let's break down the possible roles Ricardo could play. 1. The global face of Red Bull Ford. Imagine the launch of the 2026 car. New engine, new branding, a new chapter in F1 history. Who better to stand alongside Mekies, Ford executives and Red Bull drivers than Daniel Ricciardo? He has the star power to command headlines, not just in motorsport media, but globally. This isn't about him turning wrenches in the garage. It's about creating an emotional connection between fans, Ford, and Red Bull's new identity. 2. A mentor for Red Bull's next generation. Red Bull's driver academy is at a crossroads. Max Verstappen is the cornerstone, but who follows? Yuki Tsunoda, Liam Lawson, Ayumu Iwasa, all talented, but none carry Ricardo's experience of racing at the sharp end for multiple teams. Could Ricardo step into an advisory role, mentoring the next generation while reinforcing the family feeling Mekies described. It would be a natural evolution of his career, passing on the knowledge while still staying connected to the team he once thrived in. A strategic bridge between Ford and Red Bull. This might be the most intriguing possibility. Ricardo already has deep connections with Ford's leadership. He's met Jim Farley, toured Ford's design facilities, and even highlighted how impressed he was by their innovation. In a world where F1 partnerships can be strained by cultural and corporate differences, Ricardo could serve as the bridge, a trusted figure who understands the Red Bull culture but also resonates with Ford's American identity. That's priceless in maintaining harmony between the two giants. But what about the wild theories? Some fans have speculated whether Ricardo's comeback could ever involve racing again. After all, he's only 36. In the past, drivers like Fernando Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen have returned after stepping away. Could Ricardo do the same? The answer is almost certainly no. He's been clear about retirement, and the physical demands of the new era would be immense. Yet that doesn't mean he couldn't occasionally get behind the wheel for promotional runs, testing showcases, or even special Ford events. Picture Ricardo driving a Red Bull Ford demo car at Le Mans, or leading a road show across the United States. That would generate the kind of publicity money can't buy. It's also important to consider the internal politics. With Christian Horner gone, Red Bull is restructuring its leadership. Laurent Mekies, once known for his quiet competence at Ferrari and the FIA, is now tasked with reshaping Red Bull into a team that balances dominance with sustainability. Bringing Ricardo back in some form could be part of that strategy. Mekies knows the value of having a public face to distract, to charm, and to unite fans in times of controversy. And Ricardo is tailor-made for that role. And finally, think about the timing. 2026 isn't just any year. It's the year of the regulation reset. Every team is bracing for the unknown. Mercedes with their new power unit, Ferrari with their historic push, Audi entering with Sauber, and Red Bull taking a massive gamble with Ford. This is the biggest shake-up since the hybrid era began in 2014. If Red Bull wants to project confidence and stability, bringing Ricardo back into the fold as an ambassador, or more, could be the perfect move. It signals continuity, heritage, and trust, even in the face of enormous change. So what does all of this mean for Ricardo himself? In some ways, it completes the circle. He started at Red Bull, became a global star there, and after years of searching for a new home, he finds himself back connected to the team that defined his career. It may not be behind the wheel, but it could be just as significant. Because sometimes, the most powerful comebacks aren't measured in laps or podiums, they're measured in influence. So here's the big question. Do you see Daniel Ricciardo's new role with Ford as just a clever marketing move? Or could he become a key player in shaping Red Bull's future, alongside Ford in 2026 and beyond? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because one thing's for sure, the Honey Badger's story is far from finished.